Hi, welcome to Catspit Productions' explanation of screen printing. Please keep in mind that I will overlook many details. This is a synopsis, it's an abridgment, it's a short version of how it gets done, but the basic idea is to show you the basic principles of screen printing. Okay, so first of all, we start with a screen. Many people are familiar with this. It's a piece of fabric, most often nylon today, and it's much like the screen in your window, except the openings are much smaller. This particular screen is a 110 mesh. They go by numbers. The larger the number, the smaller the opening is in the mesh. So we start with a screen like this, we clean it, degrease it, and then we coat it with a light-sensitive emulsion. We fill what we call a scoop coater with this liquid in this bucket, the emulsion, and we coat the screen. Okay? After we do that, the screen will look something like this. This one is actually a malfunction in that the emulsion dwelled over here because the drying rack was unlevel. It was not level, so there was a little accident there, but this is what it would look like in this area. This is your emulsion now. That's on the screen. Now this is, of course, after it dries. So when you coat it and it's wet, we store it in a rack that's level like this, and it dries. Once the emulsion is dry, like this, it becomes very light sensitive, and it's ready to expose on the light table. Okay, at this point, your screen is ready to be exposed. So you would already have had to have your artwork ready on film. That's a whole nother topic, and I can't get into that at this point, but basically it's known as what we call film positive, and it's your artwork in black on a clear substrate, a clear medium, a film. This used to be done with a camera process in the olden days. Now it's done on the computer, where basically you print out your design onto a clear film like this. This one goes through a laser printer, and you get this kind of translucent film. Okay? I don't know if you can see that. It's translucent. Okay? And now what we're going to do is, in subdued light, we would take this and we put it on the screen, like so, facing correctly. When the screen is up in the press, you want it to face correctly so that it reads right. Okay? So what we would do is we take this to the screen, we put it into the exposure unit, face down, like this, right into the unit. Okay? Imagine that that's taped to the bottom of the screen, and we put it in. We close the unit, vacuum, and once the vacuum is set, we expose the screen to light. Now, what happens? This is the most important part, and this is why we're telling you this, because we want you to understand the fundamental principles of screen printing. What happens in the light table is that wherever you have your design in black, it blocks the light. Okay, so the light is coming through this way, because I have it on the light table like this. So the light's coming from the bottom. It's coming from the bottom and going through this piece of film. But it can't penetrate where the toner is, where the black design is. So it blocks the light from coming in contact with the light-sensitive emulsion. When the emulsion is not exposed to light, it does not cure, and it remains water soluble. Okay, so what that means is that everywhere that the exposure unit can expose the emulsion, it cures and hardens. Everywhere that your design is, it cannot cure the emulsion, and it remains water soluble. At that point, we take the screen out of the exposure unit, take the film off the back, and bring it to the washout booth. And that's where we wash out the stencil, what will become the stencil. And whatever your artwork has blocked will now wash out in the washout booth and leave open areas in the screen. Okay, so now we've exposed the screen with the artwork, and all you do is you simply bring it over to your washout booth, which ideally should have a light panel behind it so that you can see what you're doing. This is kind of a makeshift washout booth. Okay, so we would just wet the screen and we'd let the water soak in a little bit, and we'd continue to work the screen and wash out the uncured emulsion. That would leave us with a stencil like this. Now this screen has already been used to print, so there's a little bit of ink stained on the emulsion. But you can see here that in the image area where we had our artwork, the emulsion has not cured and washed out of the mesh, the screen. So now you have this area here, which is blocked by emulsion, and you have this area here, which is open. Then, when we go to the press, we put some ink on here, and all the ink is going to be able to flow through this open area to your shirt. That's what we call the stencil.
Okay, so here it is. This is a close-up shot of the screen after it has been exposed and washed out. And you can see that you can see through the screen. Okay, see the washout area behind it. So those open areas where you can see through, that's where it's going to print. That's where the ink will go through.
Okay, at this point, we will mount your screen, which is exposed into the press. We'll put some ink on it, and then with a squeegee, we will flood the screen and then stroke, okay? And that will push the ink through the stencil, through the openings that we left. You know, we washed them out. Remember, the emulsion washed out of those areas which our artwork blocked the light from. So it washes out, and the ink pushes through that hole, the stencil, and produces your print. Okay? And we'll go ahead and do a print as well. I just want to show you this one. This is the dragon. This is already cured, but what we would do is after it comes off the press, we print it, and it would go onto the belt here. This is a dryer. It has infrared heat panels in it, and it will cure the ink at approximately, it's about between 320 and 350 degrees. Most plastisol inks seem to be happy about 330 degrees. And so it goes through the oven, and then it's cured. And then the plastisol ink is a little bit rubbery and flexible, so it stretches and it's perfect on the shirt. You can do all kinds of things to it. It wears and it stays for a long time. Let's jump to, let's do a little test print here. I'll show you. This is actually the motion of a print. Okay, we're just going to do a real test print here for you. We would spray a little bit of this adhesive on the palette to make sure our shirt stays put. Okay, you put it on there. Here's your screen. Like I said, it's all set to go. We're going to flood it in the air. I like to flood in the air. There are many different techniques to actually flooding and stroking. This is the technique I like. That's your stroke, stroke, and there it is. It's a little print. You might not be able to see it because this is a test shirt. We just printed this right here. I can show you by smudging the ink. Okay, so we just did that little print there on black. Idealistically, this particular color on a black shirt would either have an underbase or it would be flashed and hit again. And we won't go into that right at the moment. So that's it. Basic screen printing 101, screen printing process explained. Brought to you by Cat's Pit Productions. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to the Cat's Pit Productions channel for new t-shirts and new how to do screen printing videos.